Welcome back to the Untouchaballs podcast. Caden and Leo here. Caden, how you doing today?
Doing pretty good, Max. How about yourself?
I would be doing a lot better if we both didn't just lose the one seed in fantasy football in our league that we've had for how many years at this point?
Evan Dwyer, I know you're watching this. Yeah, no.
You know, let's make this post simple. Let's make a picture for Evan Dwyer.
Just for you, Evan Dwyer.
All right. Now, Caden, we talked about in our last football episode specifically about these college football championships. Picks went really well for me, and all right for you.
Above 500.
Above 500. So let's talk about that first game.
Yeah, first game, on that Friday night was the Conference USA Championship between Jacksonville State and Western Kentucky, where you were on the right side of this.
Yes.
Not only did Jacksonville State win this game and cover, they did it easily. They won 52-12 in this football game.
Yeah, Caden, that blowout was a lot more than I anticipated it was going to be. Like I said, it's really hard to beat the team twice, and the fact that they had just played really gave the advantage, to them. So I think that was a pretty easy one to decide. But again, 52 points was extremely impressive for Jacksonville State.
Yeah, their offense was looking great the entire game. They scored double-digit points in every quarter of the game. And the game started off close, One thing I do want to know, this Western Kentucky kicker, he's going to find his way to a big Power 5 school next year. He is, on the season, he went 7 of 7 from 50-plus yards.
Love to see it, Caden.
He's going to find himself, get a little NIL money.
Give us the name of the lad.
The name of the lad, the good old... Well, why am I drawing... Where the hell's your name? You are Lucas Carnerio.
Lucas Carnerio, shout out you.
You are finding your way to a brighter future and better than Western Kentucky.
Better education, too.
But yeah, they win 52-12. And the big thing for what Western Kentucky could stop this game was the run game. I mean, Trey Stewart had 201 yards, 3 touchdowns. Tyler Huff was running the ball really well. He had 23 carries for 167 yards and a touchdown. They gave up 386 rushing yards, another 176 in the air. They weren't able to force a turnover. Like, this game was Jacksonville State really from about 4 minutes left-ish in the first quarter till the end of the game.
Most definitely.
Now, the next game we had to talk about was like the big one on Friday night, the UNLV Boise State game. We were both on Boise State in this game. We're like, it's a great spot for them to come in, get the win, get the cover at home. What do? They come out 21-7 victory, win the Mountain West, clinch not only a spot in the college football playoff, but a bye in the college football playoff.
Not only that, a 3-seed, kid.
Yep.
Extremely impressive. Boise State took care of business exactly how we thought they would. This game played out pretty much exactly how I thought it would. Offensive line did their thing, like they've done the entire season. Because Ashton Genty's yards before contact is absolutely ridiculous. And then you add in his yards after contact. It's like, well, he's not getting touched until he's 8 yards past the line of scrimmage with that O-line. And then he's bouncing right off, any guys in the secondary because they're just not big enough to tackle him. It creates a lot of recipe for success. So credit Boise State, credit their defense, did a great job limiting UNLV, and they were able to hold on for a solid 2-touchdown victory.
Yeah. Genty, like you said, 209 rushing yards and a rushing tutty. Michael Madsen looked good in the air. He also had that nice little rushing touchdown where he was able to keep his knee. He extended. It looked like the knee's about to go. All of a sudden, just a little bit of ground, touchdown. And yeah, really, it was the Boise State defense which propelled them to this victory. They limited to Hajj Malik Williams, only 110 yards in the air. No tutties. He did throw that pick. Like, they did what they had to do the whole game, really. It was 21-0 at the half. Their offense obviously didn't do much in the second half. But when your defense gives up 7 points, your offense doesn't have to do much to go in and get this victory. Our last game on Friday, though, bad for me, great for you, Mex.
Yes, it was.
Army with an easy victory over the Tulane Green Wave, 35-14.
Yeah, Caden, I was going to bet or suggest the alternate money line for this. Ultimately decided on doing the ASU one. But I think I said it on the podcast as well. I thought Army was going to handily take care of Tulane. And they did just that. Like I said, if you were able to stop the running game of Army, you'd be able to win. They did not do that at all. Army was back to their normal, regular ways of being dominant, smash-mouth football, taking it to you. And when you have that run game, you're able to control clock, you're able to score points, and your defense holds Tulane. It's a recipe for success.
Yeah, really, this game really turned the tide early in the first half where Tulane was scoring, but then they missed a bad field goal, a short little chip shot. Army goes down, scores again. Then they're driving, throw a pick. Then on the punt, they fumble that. It was just bad. And yeah, like you said, they weren't able to stop the run. 338 rushing yards given up. Bryson Daly had 126 and 4 rushing touchdowns. So he finished at least the regular season in college championship with, like, I think 26 rushing touchdowns. And now he still has the Army-Navy game and his bowl game.
Yeah.
He might reach over 30 rushing touchdowns on the season.
Would be absolutely insanely impressive.
And then, Tulane just couldn't get it going on offense. Mensah, only 209 and a pick, 2 tutties. Only ran for 115 yards. Army did everything they had to do offensively and defensively to get a nice, steady victory.
Yeah, rough game for the Wave.
Yeah, we had a couple morning games here, though, on Saturday. The one that I'll say we both went our way, we'll talk about that one first. ASU put a shellacking on Iowa State, a 45-19 beatdown.
Caden, even 45-19 was bigger than I thought this beatdown was going to be. I thought Arizona State was going to run right through these guys. We both talked about Cam Scatabo, which apparently people nationwide weren't familiar or up to par on Cam Scatabo's game. But you loyal Untouchaballs,
everyone, you guys knew about Cam Scatabo.
Yeah, but again, shout out him. He put the team on his back. Over 2,000 rushing yards on the season. Really helps Travis Hunter's Heisman case.
He was going to win no matter what.
We don't know yet, Caden.
He's going to win no matter what. Doesn't matter what the casuals are saying on Instagram.
But, again, ultimately, ASU just started rolling in. They never looked back. Much like they've looked in a lot of their victories this season. They just run right through people.
Yeah, I talked about on the pod how Cam Scatabo had 3 touchdowns in each of his last 2 games. I said I wouldn't be surprised if he did it again. What does he do? 170 rushing yards, 2 rushing tutties, and in the air, 30 receiving yards, another tutty. Over 200 yards of total offense, 3 tutties. Him alone outscored, I guess, minus if we include extra points, I guess. His touchdowns outscored the entire Iowa State team the entire game. They, from basically start to finish, it was close for a little bit towards like the middle of the second quarter. Then the Iowa State defense just kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
Big touchdown after big touchdown. They were just getting beat down.
Yes, they did. And that's kind of was a breaking point. When you play a team like Arizona State that's so reliant on the running game and so reliant on just beating you over and over, even if it's close, even if it's a good game, you start to get broken down and it becomes just a short margin where you think, I don't think we can climb out of this. I don't want to play this game anymore. It's exactly where ASU put Iowa State in.
Yeah. If you follow our best bets on Instagram, I got the money line there. Mex got the little juicier alternate spread.
Had to.
It was just a good game all around for us and Arizona State.
Most definitely. Shout out Ryan.
Based on a game, because of a game that we'll talk about here in a little bit, they now fell into the 4 seed and get that first round bye, which is huge for them.
Most definitely.
The other game that went on in that morning slate was the MAC championship between Ohio and Miami, Ohio. I said on the pod, I like not only Ohio to cover the 2, but to win the game. They win the game 38-3.
Okay, again, another blowout in the championship that we just kind of didn't see or didn't expect.
Not even the odds makers.
With these group of 5 teams. Very interesting. Completely wrong on my end. Not even close. Not much more to say other than that.
Yeah, it was kind of sucky that both our morning games were blowouts because I'm like trying to flip through both. And it's like, touchdown ASU, touchdown Ohio. It's like it was great for me as a bettor, but I kind of wish, I saw some better football games. But yeah, Ohio did what they had to do. Completely shut down the Red Hawks offense. Miami, Ohio couldn't do anything. Anytime they'd even get down there, then they'd stall. Like, they just couldn't do it. And then Ohio just prolongated drives that were resulting in touchdown after touchdown. Just a nice, clean, easy victory for them.
Definitely.
I don't want to talk about this next game, Max.
Texas has done Texas things again. And I said it last week on the episode. Because we have the expectation, because Texas is the favorite, because everyone thinks Texas will win, they're going to lose.
Yeah.
Texas is going to Texas. Quinn goes, just disappears.
This is what happened. They didn't know how to stop getting penalties. They're driving down the field. It was 6-3 at halftime.
Yeah.
Should have probably been at least 14-3.
This game went to overtime, right?
Yeah, and it shouldn't have. And it just shouldn't have. Anytime Texas was getting in the red area, you'd have a hold here, a false start here, maybe an illegal formation, an eligible man downfield.
Undisciplined.
Just something.
Undisciplined
they had,
football.
I think, 9 penalties for 80 yards at the end of the first half. Carson Beck threw 2 interceptions at the end of the first half. Both get called back because of defensive offsides and one DPI where he just completely ran through the defender.
Yeah.
And then it's going 6-3. They're trying a little last grasp Hail Mary to end the half. They blow up Carson Beck. probably, it's not official, but it's probably a torn UCL. It looks like he's probably going to need Tommy John. Really hurts the draft stock. And then, so, I'm thinking, as most people are probably thinking, okay, they're going to the backup. Carson Beck's played every game this year. He hasn't seen much action. Who knows? This is a great spot because especially with how good Texas's D have been playing, especially against Carson Beck. Start the second half. They let good old Gunnar Stockton drive right down the field for a touchdown. Now they're up 10-6. They get stopped. More penalties. 13-6. Finally, Quinn finds the end zone, throws that tutty to DeAndre Moore, tied up 13-13. Then it just starts going downhill. Field goal for Georgia. Texas gets the ball back with just enough time left there to get down. Okay, we need to talk about good old Bert Auburn here. He's another reason this game just shouldn't have went to overtime. He was 4-6 on field goals. The first one, I'm not going to fully put on him the first miss because he drilled the field goal. And then there was a false start on the field goal. Pushed it back 5 yards, and he pulls it wide left. Gets another field goal in the second half. Pulls it wide left. Just a bad game by Bert Auburn. Yeah, he's 4-6 with as long of 42. I mean, then you go to overtime by a miracle last-second field goal that Bert actually made. You get the ball first. You're like, okay, if you can get a touchdown here, you're really going to put a hamper on this Georgia offense, try to force them their hand. More penalties and a sack. And now you have to settle for a field goal, which they make. They're up 3. And then the defense implodes. Nice, easy touchdown for Georgia. They knew they were going to score so much that they let Carson Beck come back in for the final play.
Which is crazy.
Bro can't even lift. You see him run out to the field. He can't even lift his arm. All he has to do, he just snaps it, hands it off to Trevor Etienne. Touchdown, ball game. Georgia wins the SEC, gets the first round bye. Now Texas has to play Clemson in the first round.
Which, Caden, I mean, it sucks that Texas doesn't get a bye. But at the same time, Clemson is probably the most favorable team of all those.
I'd say Indiana, but...
Yeah, you're just an Indiana hater.
They're not good.
Outside of Indiana,
we'll get in a couple weeks when we talk about those games. I'm going to be hammering Notre Dame no matter what the spread is.
Anyway, continue.
But yeah, just like you said, Texas is going to Texas. Anytime they're in a big moment, they will fail you. They've done it every single year since the Vince Young Rose Bowl in 2004.
Yep.
No matter what the case, they will find a way to lose and fail you.
Correct.
Now that we get to our night games, which were some good, some bad. Start off with the least important game in the Sun Belt between Marshall and ULM, where we both like Marshall minus or plus 5.5. Not only do they cover that, they win 31-3 over ULM. Just a straight beatdown. Like you were saying, a lot of these Group of 5 games were just some beatdowns.
Yeah, it was. I don't know why the opposing team just didn't show up in these, Group of 5 games, because that was actually a ridiculous game. Yeah. And I thought these were the games that are going to be more competitive. I was looking forward to, them being competitive, but the fact that it was just a Marshall beatdown played great for our pick. Yeah. Well, as a fan of football, it was kind of whatever. And again,
and for you, especially because you had the overs.
Yeah.
ULM not being able to produce anything offensively really hampered you.
It really did.
Our more actual important games, the ones with playoff implications. We'll start with the Big Ten game first because there's a lot more to unpack with the ACC game. Big Ten game, an offensive outpour. Your overs hit.
Oh, yeah. I knew this game was going to be an out.
Over-under was set at 50.5.
I saw that over-under for you guys who follow Instagram, and I was like, there is zero chance this game doesn't go at minimum 60 points.
And like you said, the overs hit in the first half. Nice, easy. Oregon, also, if you will follow the Instagram, I had Oregon minus 6.5. I said it on the pod last week. Drew Aller sucks. He's a really bad quarterback, and Oregon would be able to win by more than a touchdown. They win 45-37.
But it was a very close game.
It was a very close game, mainly, though, because of the Penn State rushing attack.
True.
Penn State was able to gash Oregon's defense for 297 rushing yards. Nicholas Singleton and Katron Allen both ran the ball really well. And what does Drew Aller do? He coughs it up, Caden. Coughs it up. They're trying to drive down, tie the game late, throws it right to the Oregon defender, pick off, end the game. Drew Aller didn't have an awful game. 226 passing yards.
Not bad.
For him, that's not bad. 3 tutties. That's really good for him. But then the 2 interceptions that cost the team the game.
We talked about that coming into this game. Drew Aller likes to cough up the football. But, hey, if you are looking at, Oregon as this 1 seed, right? They have been the team all year, roughly. If you're a team and you see how successful Penn State was running the football, you got to be licking your chops. We know Ashton Jeanty also had lots of success against this Oregon, earlier in the game.
Yeah, Boise State's one loss was only a 3-point loss to Oregon.
Yes. So I think there's a recipe that's developing if you want to be this Oregon team, Caden. Run the football, but 2 interceptions are the reason why Penn State lost.
But yeah, this Oregon offense, though, is legit. Yes, Dylan Gabriel, 283, 4 tutties, no turnovers. They're able to run the ball pretty well. Like they were able to, it seemed like, most of the game, just drive down, score with these basically the entire game, especially in that first half. Seemed like, because I was following more of the ACC game, anytime I flipped to that game, it's Oregon, 1st and goal. Now there's a touchdown.
Yes.
Their offense was unstoppable in this game, and that's going to be one big thing for teams that have to try to stop. Now our ACC championship game, though, between the SMU Mustangs and the Clemson Tigers.
Dabo
Sweeney, and an awful collapse by Clemson, and then a horrid special teams play by SMU. Let's just start it off, first quarter couldn't have gone worse for SMU. 3 touchdowns for Clemson. SMU had a fumble that led to one of those touchdowns. SMU only puts up 7. They're down 21-7. They're down 24-7 at the half. And you're like, this ain't good. They're down 17 going into the half. They get a touchdown to start the second half, which is great now.
Yeah.
Now you're down 10.
But then
to end the third quarter, here's a Cade Klubnik touchdown. Make it 31-14. So we're watching the fights. And then on my computer, we had the SMU game. We're like, okay, we need a huge comeback here. And as someone with an SMU ACC championship ticket, I'm like, we need a huge comeback here. I'm like, I don't even care if they cover. I'll take a 1-point victory. Touchdown early in the fourth quarter. They had a quick, just drive right down the field touchdown. Great. Now another not quick, but more extended good field goal.
Yeah.
Then they get the ball back with only a couple minutes left. Kevin Jennings and the team are driving. They're driving. They're looking good.
They are.
There was 16 seconds left in the game. He finds Roderick Daniels in the end zone for the touchdown to tie it up at 31. We're watching some great fights. We're like, oh, wow. We get to see overtime now in the ACC championship game. This is electric. Then they let about a 45-yard kickoff return. So, yeah,
they're just absolutely unacceptable.
There's 16 seconds left and this touchdown happens. So, all they need to do, kick off, hold them. I mean, if it wasn't for this kickoff, SMU, Clemson, because they only have one timeout.
Down.
They're just going to they might try one pass.
Or they might, or run up the middle to see if it breaks.
And after that, they'll just take it to overtime. They let a 45-yard kickoff return happen, so they're at about midfield. Quick little about 9-10-yard pass. Call the timeout, gets them in field goal range. And true freshman, Nolan Hauser,
who's never attempted a game-tying or game-winning kick in the fourth quarter or overtime in his young career.
Cash money from 56 yards to end our hopes and dreams.
Caden, this SMU team fought to the very end.
But they are still a legit football team.
They are still, and they made the playoff.
One thing, thank you, committee, for realizing that
Alabama does not belong.
Yeah, you heard announcers talking about it all day before the game. You were watching all the games. They'd talk about, every announcer I don't see how you can penalize SMU for playing in a conference championship game when Alabama is just sitting idle this week already with 3 losses. So, it'd be, then you have the SEC bias people who are like, it's a travesty that somehow 2 ACC teams made it over Bama. No,
shut up.
No, exactly. Shut up. Bama didn't deserve it. You got blown out by an awful Oklahoma team this year. You scored 3 points against Oklahoma. You don't deserve it at all. SMU rightfully got in the playoffs, as they should.
Yes.
And, I mean, that's the one silver lining to come out of this, is that Bama, who was a very undeserving team, got kicked out of the playoffs.
Most definitely, Caden. And, I wanted to add the fact that special teams play, I want to come back to that, was just unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
For SMU's offense to do what they did, be able to give you guys a chance to go to overtime, and you just let an absolutely devastating kick return. I just was in shock.
Yeah.
I was in disbelief, and that's all I have to say about it.
That was bad. At least SMU's still in the playoffs, so we get to see that.
Correct.
And now, Clemson, wins the ACC. They get in after having a 0 shot of getting in without it.
Yeah.
And now, because they were the furthest outside, they get the 12 seed. And now, even though they are the ACC champion, they still have to go to Austin and play the Longhorns on the road.
Yeah, Caden, that's a rough game for them. We'll talk about that more
in a couple weeks.
But going on, like you said, right at the same time, UFC 310, which was a solid card. It wasn't an amazing card. It was a good card, though.
There were some really good fights, I'd say,
yes,
in this card.
Yes, there were.
Like our opener between Duho Choi and Nate Landwehr, where Choi looked amazing.
Yes, he did, Cade. He did exactly what I thought he was going to do. He used his range, he used his technical striking skills, and he just avoided the brawling type of Nate Landwehr, right? Because that's what he wanted for. He's a brawler. Nate the Train's trying to catch you. And Choi was just so technical. You know, there was a joke on some meme pages that Duho Choi was the best fighter ever, pound for pound, for one fight. Because he did whatever he wanted to do.
He dominated that entire fight. Then, in that last round, he's able to get him on the ground, start doing the ground and pound. And it was so bad, the ref just had to call it. He just had to call it.
Got him in that crucifix position, Caden, dropping elbows, busted up Landwehr's face, and had a very impressive performance, and called out another guy on this card that we're talking about later.
Yep. Speaking of this next fight, it was between Chrome Gracie, Bryce Mitchell. Surprisingly, Bryce Mitchell, unsurprisingly, got the win. He got the KO, TKO in the fight.
Yeah.
Just surprisingly, though, the surprise was that Bryce Mitchell decided to take it to the ground.
He did.
He decided the whole fight he's going to try to wrestle Chrome Gracie. But then we get to that third round after two pretty uneventful first rounds. Except, though, in the second round,
was cool.
Chrome Gracie had Bryce Mitchell in that arm bar. That looked like that was in pretty
He also
deep.
had a triangle as well that he attempted, and Bryce Mitchell was in danger. That was extremely deep. But Chrome Gracie, like we talked about, how he even got on the main was disgusting. The performance was disgusting because it's basically, I can't do anything, I'm just going to pull guard.
Yeah.
And, if you're not fully in my guard, you get into mount, I'm just going to grab you and hold you so you can't kill me, but I'm going to accomplish nothing. But credit to the ref, he started standing him up eventually. He wasn't allowing the guard pulling to just take place and the meaningless clinch of nothing like that happened in all of the first round. And that slam by Bryce Mitchell was devastating, right on the head.
Right on the back. Yeah, he had the arm, straight back head. Looked like he was out there.
He was out off the slam.
But then Bryce landed two just elbows.
Yes, most definitely.
Vicious wind of full-on elbows that just increased the damage. Great victory for him. And after the fight, even Bryce is like, that arm bar was tight. I thought my arm was going to break, but we ain't tapped.
No, we ain't.
Now, the controversial fight of the main card, a little,
I would have went 5 for 5 on picks if
you would have.
This decision went.
I went 4-1. I should have went 3-2. Even I agree. Cyril Gahn got the decision over Alexander Volkov in this fight. None of us know how. Even Dana White didn't know how.
Do you know how? The lady who refereed the fight is also the one from the famous Triple G Canelo fiasco from a few years back. And she also, I forget the other fight that she had ref recently. That was just a blatant, not even close to the actual decision of fighting. But I should have wrote down this lady's name because she needs to be held accountable.
She's bad.
Absolutely atrocious. And same with the other ref who favored in
the judges,
the judges, sorry, not ref. But just a crazy, it was a close fight.
It was a close fight.
It was an okay fight. They were slugging initially. Ultimately came into like a grapple off, which I wasn't really anticipating between these two guys. And, Cyril did have Volkov in some dangerous positions for a little bit.
Yeah, not much.
Not enough to win the fight. And obviously, Volkov outstruck Gahn. Definitely had the bigger strikes on the feet. Yep. It was a good fight, a good heavyweight fight, just a little 3-rounder, and can't really complain outside of the decision going against what we both thought, everyone thought.
Yeah, even Dana White told Volkov that he thought he won.
Yes.
Like, everyone's like, that's not a good decision. It looked like like it was, like you said, it's a close fight. It was a good fight. But to the eyes of basically everyone except two of those judges, it looked like Volkov had won that fight.
Yes.
Our co-main, though, was between Shavkat and Ian Gary. Shavkat, like you said, it was his first ever decision victory. He gets the win. It was an interesting fight. It started off really slow, but those last 2 rounds were really what we'd expected to see.
Yeah, Kane, it did start off slow, and I think it was just a feel-out period. These guys know each other. They've sparred against each other, and I think it's harder to go against someone that knows all your stuff, knows what you want to do. And it came out that Shavkat wrestled with a torn MCL for this, or not wrestled, fought with the torn MCL for this fight. So taking that into consideration, it is extremely even more impressive what he did. But again, Ian Gary did exactly what I thought he was going to do. A lot better than what people expected. He's a complete fighter. He can strike. He has good ground game. And this fight was really close. Gary had a Shavkat in the rear naked choke in the fifth round. That was, I thought, Shavkat was going to tap. Yeah. And I think there was a point in Shavkat's mind where he thought he was going to tap too.
And he was able to just slither out of it.
He made the decision. I think Shavkat internally, there's a second where he looks to the camera. You can see the eye contact. And I think in his head, he thought, I am not tapping and going out like this. And he found a way to get out and outlast Ian Gary. But it's a fight I wouldn't mind seeing in maybe a year or two down the line where this is a title fight potentially.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Because, now, obviously, we're going to get Bilal and Shavkat after Ramadan because if Dana White actually respects Bilal for once.
Yeah.
Because all he said was, I just request it's after Ramadan. So hopefully after that, we see Bilal and Shavkat finally, which I think should be a really good fight.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, Shavkat might be able to win that, but don't put it past Bully B.
Hey, I think Bully B, based on the grappling defense of even Machado Gary and how Shavkat didn't look as dominant as he had previously, is licking his chops.
Yeah.
I think it favors him heavily, but we're going to have to see how he comes back after that toe and infection and all that stuff.
Our main event, though. Alexandre Pantoja and Kai Asakura. Pantoja is one of the fastest dudes I've ever seen.
Caden, he is so technical. He is so sound. He is just – that's how – just a
chef's kiss.
Like we've mentioned before, every main event he's in puts on an electric show. One of the most, by far, entertaining fighters on the roster. Most underrated, I think, fighter on the roster. Underappreciated. Put on a masterclass against, the newcomer Kai Asakura.
Yeah, you see in the first round, Pantoja was landing some shots. I mean, Asakura was looking good in that first round. Like, it was still Pantoja's round. He still won it. Asakura was still finding his way, landing some good shots. Then we get to the second round, though. He just, in a split little second,
on back,
grabs his back, slams him to the ground, and then it's over from there.
Yeah, once the body lock came in and, Pantoja was down. I mean, credit Asakura. He had better than I thought grappling.
Oh, yeah.
I talked about the fact that he had faced lesser competitions where he was going to be at the disadvantage. And that's exactly what Pantoja said after the fight. He's like, credit Kai, he's a great fighter, but this is the UFC. I've been fighting the best fighters. And he had a great call out of Mighty Mouse after, who quickly shut it down.
Yeah, I mean, I could see at least at some point Asakura finding his way back out to a title shot.
Yes.
Especially as Pantoja's just absolutely cleaned out that entire division.
Yeah, I think ultimately at this point, the only move from Pantoja is to go up, which we have Merab and Umar, and I wouldn't...
Those odds don't make sense.
Yeah, those odds...
How Umar's a minus 220 favorite doesn't make sense.
Easy money right there, I think, in my opinion, to bet on the plus side of that. But regardless, Pantoja probably fights the winner of those guys. Hopefully.
Good, because it seems like there's nothing left for him in the flyweight division.
Yeah.
He's cleaned out everyone.
And more than once is the problem.
Yeah, Brandon Moreno, Davison Figueiredo, now Kai Asakura.
Brandon Royval,
yeah. There's no one else for him.
And, killers. He's taken out killers, Caden. One of he is getting up there with Demetrius Johnson in that flyweight division as one of the best. I think he is definitely second behind him now, all time for sure. Just impressive fighting, impressive cardio, impressive performance by Pantoja, and really put a cap on this card.
Yeah, good card, and he's legit. I agree with what you said. Definitely, I'd say the most underrated fighter on the entire UFC roster for sure.
100%, Caden. It was a great weekend. Fantastic Friday, Saturday. Any other comments you think before we wrap up?
Yeah, no college football really this weekend besides the Army-Navy game. So the pod coming out Friday will be just all solely NFL based.
Yeah, back to NFL.
Back to NFL before we get to the playoffs that next week, which will be great. And now, make sure you guys like, subscribe, comment, share. And a lot of more Untouchaballs coming your way.
Most definitely. Thank you all for listening. We'll see you all next time.